Hello and welcome to the Immortals trophy. This is probably one of the more important games of week 2. We got the tournament directors playing. Lucian and CSolar on one side here on the left. They are the GGNORE, and they are taking on a Voodoo and Coacher. Voodoo on the bottom, so UEF on the bottom, and we got Aeon versus Seraphim up on top. Lucian versus Coacher, that might be quite hard for Coacher, but we'll see what happens. Lucian says, let's make hot dogs. So one thing to note, I am kind of jumping in ahead of everybody, but I've seen games uploaded for a while, so I'm just going to go ahead and post this. I probably won't do too many in week 2 after this anyway. But hopefully nobody feels bad that I jumped in ahead of them. So it looks like second air from Voodoo. CSolar, still not clear what he's going to do with his second factory. It looks like land. He does have a scout coming up. Multiple engineers expanding. Of course, based on the game we saw, the other game from week 1, where we had the Brain Brothers completely take over the middle with Aeon and get so much mass from the middle that really got him a pretty easy victory in game 1. Really led to a great 2v1 victory for the Brain Brothers, or Brain Bunch. Of course, this game is effectively for first place. There is a small chance that one of these teams, the team that wins this, doesn't get first place, and that's if they lose the next game 3, to the team that wins this week between we got Mag and Killer taking on Renzilla and Income. So if Renzilla and Income win, and then they beat who they have left, the Spiderpigs, and the Spiderpigs lose today or win today, then Spiderpigs would get second, and it's, I guess, Q Squids would get first. But basically, whoever wins this one is going to get a trip to the best of 8. Looks like early Navy from Voodoo. That's interesting. We also see an engineer here in the middle. He's getting sonar. And some bombing from Voodoo as well. So CSolar a lot more land, but this bomber still flying, takes out an engine. And an interceptor from Lucian is going to help out. Good teamwork from Lucian. Lucian is underwater. Not really sure what he's doing there. Maybe this is a very similar plan as Chosen had. Of course, that really backfired on him. Lucian looks like he's going a little quicker. You also see some bombers, some dodging from Lucian. Coacher trying to kill engineers. Coacher, meanwhile, with Aeon 4-land factory going for a 5th. 2 engineers on power spam. He might have a pretty big force pretty soon. And Voodoo now getting a whole bunch of mass from the reclaim. Also getting some submarines. So everybody's in the water getting a reclaim except for Lucian, who is just running on the bottom of the ocean. He's going to try to double team Voodoo. See the plan here between CSolar and Lucian. Go after Voodoo, 2 ACUs versus 1. CSolar is definitely on the right page, although he's been getting harassed by these bombers all day. It looks like Lucian is responsible for all air. Anything has to do with air. While CSolar is going for a very big land spam. You see Voodoo also has a big land spam planned as a point defense to retreat to. And here come 2 ACUs. Artillery for CSolar to take care of things. Lucian, meanwhile, is going to have to deal with an ACU without an ACU to defend. So Coacher might try to make Lucian pay for this type of play. There goes a point defense for Voodoo. So Voodoo needs to retreat. He's got another point defense to probably be finished. Hopefully that's not too loud. But you can see this is a really good plan. Lucian taking quite a bit of damage early on, fighting Voodoo. Second point defense is destroyed, and Voodoo is in full retreat. Also bombers for Lucian. Lucian 3 kills, CSolar 14. Voodoo at 5. Coacher, meanwhile, walking into Lucian's base. Lucian making point defenses. And if Coacher can cut off this choke point, he can get a lot more mass from the middle. It does look like Voodoo and Coacher have a lot more units in the middle. They'll be getting a lot of mass. Coacher, meanwhile, just getting veterancy. Voodoo in full retreat. He's already back to his base. Got important units coming up here. His factories, power storage. Another point defense going up, and Voodoo in a bit of trouble. Actually, quite a bit of trouble for Voodoo. Does have a nice point defense. Doesn't live for too long. And Voodoo actually putting up a really good fight, 2v1. He needs more point defenses. He's got more emergency point defenses going up. Meanwhile, Kosher running Lushan over. We might need split screen for this. So Kosher absolutely dominating up on top. Meanwhile, Voodoo full retreat, getting hit by Artie. So good attack by GGNORE, but of course Kosher making them pay for their tactic. Multiple point defenses, however, for Lushan, so that's going to be very difficult to get a huge advantage. But it looks like Kosher will surround Lushan's base, and once again I'm not using the split screen properly. Looks like that factory from Voodoo has been destroyed. Voodoo sitting at 14 kills, and his base is in danger of just disappearing. Kosher, meanwhile, 39 kills. He's got artillery that he's using to kill power generators instead of Kosher has to be very careful. Gotta keep dodging. Meanwhile, Voodoo continues to retreat. Lushan's still in pursuit. Voodoo is in danger of losing all units. He's not getting any support yet from Kosher on land, and he's about to die, it seems. He doesn't really have much of a base left. Total air domination by Sea Solar. Kosher, meanwhile, taking out the point defenses. And how did Kosher just die there? That was not the player I expected to die first. A 9-minute victory for GGNORE against Spider. So one of the most important games here. Of course, the match is best of 3. It's still not over. He's lost quite easily. Good tactic from Sea Solar and Lushan, double teaming Voodoo. They did it a little quicker than what Chosen and Laneless tried to do, where they ran a lot more trouble when they did it later. So let's look at what happened. Welcome to game 2 in this best of 3 between GGNORE and the Spiderpigs. Of course, GGNORE winning the first 2v2 quite easily. Both Voodoo and Kosher dying nearly simultaneously before the 10-minute mark. And here it looks like Voodoo and Kosher chose that the first game they want to play is Voodoo versus Kosher. So Voodoo, if Voodoo wins, it'll be the third game will be Kosher versus Sea Solar. Let's see how this works out. Voodoo versus Lushan, always a classic. I was hoping Guile might do this one, but I have no patience. But maybe Guile will do it again. And I think more people cast this game is probably better, although I have not seen exactly what happens. One thing to note, Lushan going with Cybern. So he's going to try to kill Voodoo in style. So if Lushan feels if he can beat Voodoo with Cybern versus UEF on this map, that's a very big statement, although we do see Voodoo. One thing to remember though, Voodoo playing UEF versus Cybern Lushan, game 5 of the Imp Cup 1 finals, a game that was no longer important. It was decided in game 4 that Lushan was the champion, but in game 5 Voodoo created one of the biggest spams in history of 1v1 gaming, where he just had a huge flow of UEF units. He might have the same idea here, although there probably had something like 50 Tech 1 land factories. People haven't seen that, definitely check it out. Second air from Lushan, we might see Jesters or just Bomber. Lushan with a scout directly in the middle, looking to see if anybody's stealing his mass and if any bombers are coming. Of course, on this map, a lot of mass extractors that are really spread out. Of course, hydros as well, multiple choke points. We're usually a 3v3, and looks like multiple scouts, a scout and interceptors from Lushan, not very aggressive. We see a bomber, however, from Voodoo. Interesting that Lushan went with an interceptor. Here comes a bomber from Voodoo. The interceptor for Lushan, for looking for anything to kill. He's going to find a bomber. This bomber hasn't been spotted yet, and an engineer for Lushan is destroyed. It's a very valuable engineer. That was going to be a hydro for Lushan. You see a land spam from Lushan as well. Here, minute 4, and now we see both bombers from Voodoo have been destroyed. Looks like the ACU, both ACUs going to the left side. It seems like it's a pattern always. I'm not really sure if we'll do that. Both ACUs going to the left, and Voodoo seems to be a little quicker, expanding to the right. Lushan's bomber gets shot out. So very even air fight so far. Looks like Lushan actually winning air and the bomber coming in.
This could be a very valuable bomber for Lucian, given he has air control. He can spot some engineers. Looks like he missed with that bomb. A bit of a double bomb. Actually missed with both bombs, but he still has total air control. Voodoo meanwhile making a significant push down the right side. And Lucian with air control still not able to make it pay off, but he might get a couple kills here. So 2 kills, but flak and interceptors coming out for Voodoo. Voodoo meanwhile sneaking in a bunch of tanks through the bottom of the base. Down the right side we see a response here from Lucian. A whole bunch of line factories moving out with Manta. And another force from Voodoo moving out to the right. The middle has been absolutely abandoned by Voodoo. Lucian just went ahead and grabbed all that mass. A push from Voodoo up the left side, and this is a nice Mantis preventing these mass structures from being built. And I can see these tanks creating problems in the back, but a response from Lucian is going to take care of it. Appears a drop from Lucian. Perhaps he wants to get up on top of these hills. In case people don't know, it's a place you can only fly to. Both ends. Great stage ground for drops and cruise missiles. And a bit of a push now from Lucian. Interesting to see the radar coverage on this map. It becomes absolutely critical. You can see there's one radar here. No radar here for Voodoo. Same thing, so we can see it's a bit of a diagonal. Not too much radar here for Lucian either. So both players having a bit trouble to expand all the way across the map. Although Voodoo not cleaning up nicely. And now it looks like both players will just cut the map evenly in half. Although Lucian here up on top is going to have a bit of a map control advantage. Also a really good placement on our radar. And a wall here is going to prevent any kind of sneak attacks from Voodoo. It looks like Lucian a little quicker with his transports, goes ahead and grabs the 4 extra mass extractors. That might make a pretty big difference. We also see a drop though coming in from Voodoo. We might see a challenge. We gotta remember Lucian did have that early air advantage. And yet another drop coming in. It was an interceptor for Voodoo, flew right past it, and it looks like it wasn't noticed. So Lucian trying to go on the edge of the map. And a counter drop. 2 versus 1, that engineer is not going to have too much success. Flying right in front of Voodoo's nose here. That's a bit too hopeful there from Voodoo. But this is a nice drop from Lucian. On the edge of the map, a lot of engineers, a lot of power generators that should cause quite a bit of problems. And the numbers in the Tech 1 forces are now beginning to grow. Voodoo, no upgrades, pushing ahead. On the other side, pretty large forces, 30 and 30. Looks like a bit of artillery from both sides. A lot more arty here in this group of units from Lucian. Here it's mostly Manta. There are a couple arties here mixed in as well. It looks like Lucian with numbers. Meanwhile, this is a successful attack. These Manta have prevented the power spam and now killing a whole bunch of power generators. So very nice drop there from Lucian. You gotta remember, Voodoo can't lose this game. Well, they can still win in week 3 and make it, but this will put them under quite a bit of pressure, because they will have to play against Renzilla and Income, and those are very good players. Voodoo on all-out attack, but he's running into superior forces everywhere. You see quite a few Tech 1 land forces. Tech 2 land from Lucian is making rhinos, laser tanks, and now Lucian on a counter-attack. Voodoo having to pull a bunch of forces to the right side, and Voodoo also going with Tech 2, going with pillars. So far Lucian looking better in this game, taking both these sides and now making progress. He's got control over the middle, making progress on the right side, although it looks like Voodoo is going to have good defensive position. Both players at Tech 2. Good looking Air Force from Lucian, also flak coming out on the field. Gotta keep that in mind. And of course that successful drop, probably the play of the game so far, really prevented a lot of power production from Voodoo. Another drop coming in. Well, here we're going to have Tech 2 versus Tech 1. A couple pillars here. Actually, quite a few pillars for Voodoo. And these are going to make these Manti very afraid. They're going to have to retreat. A bit of a push from Lucian is going to prevent any reclaim in the middle. Voodoo with an assault. Now moving in quite slowly, and he might have to be careful here. He doesn't want to throw away those pillars. Here comes an assault from Lucian. Voodoo not reacting in the way you'd expect him to react. He does not have radar here, so he has no idea there's a huge force about to kill him, and that's really going to be a big mistake. Looks like Voodoo finally realizing he's going to put up a point defense. Should be in time, but you can see here Lucian getting around. This point defense though is going to get a lot of kills. No Tech 2 yet. Now we finally see some hoplites for Lucian. And we can see this huge retreat from Voodoo. Point defense is destroyed. Is going to allow Lucian to follow up with a very large force. So Voodoo is in danger of losing a bit of map control here. Bunch of Tech 1 mass extractors in 3 factories. One thing we have seen is that the ACUs in this game have been absolutely absent. They've been hiding. Voodoo here in the back. And Lucian pushing up with his hoplites, although Voodoo should have enough to defend. There's a lot of pillars in this group. Perhaps Voodoo's trying to get Lucian to commit a whole bunch of forces and get a pretty big victory. Lucian isn't coming in yet. Lucian is thinking about some drops. And there are some Tech 2 here. The Rhinos on flat land like this is going to be absolutely deadly. The pillars coming in push Lucian back, but a whole bunch of dead stuff. Of course, a little bit of reclaim as well for Voodoo. Voodoo rebuilding immediately. And Lucian taking his time. He might try to use the range on the hoplites to get a couple of free kills against the pillars. Tech 3 land with some Tech 3 artillery now from Lucian here, minute 16. A bit of scouting from Voodoo. Still just Tech 2 land. We haven't seen too much Tech 2 air from either player, which was surprising. These two players love their Tech 2 air, the gunships, but perhaps on this map they feel like flak is a little too powerful. So we're going to see Tech 3 land. Lucian definitely with a quicker Tech 3 land. We see Loyalists on the left side, and that's going to be huge trouble for the pillars. The Loyalists are going to get a lot of kills. Although the pillars fighting back quite nicely, we see a Loyalist go down. Counterattack for Voodoo forces Lucian back, leaving quite a bit of good reclaim. This is a big problem now for Voodoo on the left side. This has been a big pain for Voodoo. Voodoo does have a Tech 2 engineer making Tech 2 point defenses. And we do see Tech 3 coming up for Voodoo. Although his Tech 2 force is really disappearing very quickly. The pillars just can't put up that much of a fight. Voodoo might have to use his ACU. It'd be nice to have a gun in this situation. We also see Tech 2 gunships. We knew if we see Lucian and Voodoo, we gotta see Tech 2 gunships, and we see a whole bunch now moving in. And very important air fight. If Lucian wins this air fight, it'll be extremely difficult. But it looks like Voodoo might actually have it. Voodoo together with a bunch of pillars is going to defend his left side. On the right side, Voodoo has retreated. He's got a Tech 2 engineer. He's going to make Tech 2 point defenses once again. But definitely map control firmly in Lucian's favor. He's got the middle, he's got the sides, and he's denying the left side of Voodoo's base. Gunships now moving in directly at Voodoo. And artillery, artillery shells all over the place. Oh wow. Wow, this is amazing. Lucian, crazy person. He has just dropped in a bunch of artillery into a crater behind Voodoo's base. Now that is something mean to do, so Voodoo here has to move some artillery to hit those back. I've never seen this before. Voodoo meanwhile under absolute assault from Tech 3. But this right here has to be one of the plays of the week at least. This Cyber Tech 3 Arty absolutely demolishing Voodoo's base from the back. Yeah, this Voodoo versus Lucian rivalry, this was a pretty important point in this rivalry, I think. Lucian absolutely dominating. So,
Game 3 isn't necessary, but we'll watch that anyway. Hello and welcome to Game 3, which is basically a friendly between the Spiderbots and GGNORE. GGNORE have already won. CSolar's team, really good victory in Game 1, and then Lucian dominating with Cybern against EF and Voodoo on this map. That was a really nice game. But now it's a friendly between Kosher and CSolar, so GGNORE effectively have first place, unless of course Mag and Killer can beat Renzilla and Income and then beat GGNORE, which is very unlikely. And of course now Spiderpigs have a must win against Income and Renzilla in week 3. So we'll see if that happens. It's going to be a very exciting week 3 for the Spiderpigs. Both players EAF in this one, Coacher and CSolar. CSolar really liking EAF in this tourney, it seems. Going second air with the Hydra. Meanwhile, Coacher getting a Hydra second air as well. Very similar builds from these two players. And CSolar has played extremely well in this one. I remember he was very good. I didn't think he was probably his top form, but so far has been extremely good, which is really making GGNORE definitely one of the favorites with play like that. Be really nice to see them against Tag. Of course, they are in Group 2, so they're likely to see some really good teams from Group 1, like Crazy Chariot and Black Death might get first place in that one. Some other good teams there I can't really remember, but I'm not sure who's going to get first or second in Group 1. But probably quarterfinals they might meet a team like Tag. Those are going to be exciting games. And we got Interceptors coming out for Coacher. CSolar getting Interceptors of his own, pretty big land spam, very bunched up over from CSolar. Not expanding too much, but pretty aggressive with these tanks. CSolar meanwhile has grabbed the left side for mass extractors, and the ACU for CSolar moving to the right side, which is very unusual from the games we've seen so far. CSolar though moving out to the usual side, and we got tanks here from Coacher denying any expanding engineers. A bomber from Coacher looking for engineers, hasn't dropped any bombs yet. Still just a really good scout, not much more than that. And we're gonna see big land spam from both players. Finally some bombs have been dropped off. 1 kill for Coacher with the bomber. 2 kills. And Coacher a little better at expanding. Have a few more mass extractors. But here it looks like it's going to be a good defensive play from CSolar. He's just going to run these units over and go on an attack. CSolar is going to be clawing back a bit of the map control. Although both players have a really nice position here on the units. A good tank here is going to deny a couple mass extractors and perhaps a Hydra for CSolar. And here comes a push from CSolar moving to the middle. And it looks like those bombers did a little bit of damage, but not too much. CSolar still pretty good shape. So a bit of a push here on the left side. So it'll be an interesting dynamic in this one where the two ACUs aren't on the same side. See if Coacher can get some veterancy. If these tanks avoid the ACU, they are kind of going in blind. CSolar here, he has no idea what's here, but now he's going to see. He's going to see there's an ACU. He's going to go ahead and retreat. On the other side, we've got a similar situation. CSolar chasing down a bunch of tanks. Coacher trying to get around him. More land factories on the way for CSolar. Coacher already has quite a few. And this group of tanks have snuck in. They might create all kinds of problems. Also push through the middle. Although these look like they're pretty suicidal there from Coacher. Air control has just shifted to CSolar. See if that counts for anything. I don't want to fly over flag for too long. It looks like drops from CSolar is going to take the sides. Right here, these tanks from Coacher, still no response. You can see engineers can reclaim tanks automatically if they're in an attack move. But emergency point defense from CSolar is going to put an end to that fun. And now Kocher moving in with another force. So he's going to try to intercept. He's going to get a little bit of veterancy. Kocher splits into two. And no point defenses here yet, so these are very vulnerable units. Yeah, you can see Kocher doing the right thing, avoiding the ACU. And it looks like Sea Solar are taking both sides. If Kocher can shoot down this transport, it'll be very important. Not in time. Oh. Transport almost killed both those engineers with its crash. One NG survives. Here comes a counter drop from Kocher. Kocher with a really nice attack here, denying quite a few mass extractors. Attack up the middle and attack on the right side. So Kocher so far, I gotta say, in this tournament has looked better than Voodoo, which is kind of surprising. It's a really nice play. See all these engineers. Another emergency point defense. A bunch of tanks are going to get by and actually killing. That was a massacre of engineers there by Kocher. Maybe a bit of a counterattack finally from Sea Solar. And Sea Solar with Tech 2 land. That's really the reason he doesn't have as many tanks, but he does have Tech 2. However, Tech 2 from Kocher as well. Kocher really good with those small forces. And another emergency point defense. Let's see if how many kills that gets before it's destroyed. But now Tech 2 moving in from Sea Solar is gonna play good defense. A lot of Tech 2 mass extractors for Sea Solar. Don't see as many. Actually, quite a few for Kocher as well. Looks like Sea Solar quite a few more. Big air spam plus Tech 2 gunships coming out for Kocher. Looks like Kocher taking the left side. Counter drop from Sea Solar. This might be successful. That's a lot of tanks. Yeah, so not enough defense there from Kocher. Massive force in the middle from Sea Solar. Also Tech 2 here. See where that goes. Pretty big force on the left side, but mostly Tech 1. Tech 2 point defense. No, this is a cruise missile launcher from Sea Solar. Very vulnerable position. It doesn't look like it's going to live. And actually, if this attack is successful, there's no defense here for Sea Solar. This is madness. All those exposed units. And that's going to be a really big problem for Sea Solar. He's going to lose maybe his Tech 2 factory, maybe his Tech 2 power generators. That's actually a Tech 3 factory. So Sea Solar going for Tech, completely neglecting defense up the middle. Also gunships moving in from Kocher. And this was a very one-sided game, I gotta say. Of course, one thing to note, Sea Solar already knew he had won, so this is a prestige game for the Spiderbots. But Sea Solar very much outplayed by Kocher here. Really well played. So it's a 2-1 to the to GGNORE versus Spiderpigs.